Okay, this is my first swarm. I'm going to make an attempt today to capture this swarm. I don't know if it's a wild swarm or if it came from one of my hives. I've been trying to watch my hives. It's been about a week since I've been into them, and I know a week ago there were no queen cells, but I'm going to try to capture it. If you look at this particular swarm, it is not far at all from my hives. There are my hives right there. So I don't know if it swarmed from one of those hives or not, but I'm going to try to put this swarm in that center hive box. It's a pretty decent size swarm of bees. I don't know, I'm estimating it's 4 or 5 pounds. I'm going to try to shake it off and put it in a medium box. I'm not 100% sure that box is going to be big enough. I have some deeps. Right now I just want to get them in a hive. If I need to do some moving around, I guess I can try that later. There's where the swarm is. And here is where my hives are. Now what I want to try to do is to put it in that middle hive. Right now it's just a medium box. I left a little gap. I'm basically trying to pull together everything that I've heard from others who are much more experienced than I. And that is that they prefer a box where there's at least a little bit of comb in it, and that they like a little bit of space. So I'm leaving a space in the middle. I may even take out initially one more of those frames. Some of those frames you can see are brand new, but some of those are ones that have been lying around a while. This one is from a frame box I bought. I was going to clean it up, but I felt like in this case that bee smell might help them to stay at home. This is one I had pulled out of one of my other hives a while back to put in my swarm trap. So you can see it's already combed out and is ready for them. And it even has a little bit of nectar residue in it. So my hope is this smell and the fact that there are some frames with a little bit of combing on it will help them to want to stay there. Now I've got a topper feeder ready to go. So as soon as I get them in there, then I will put the top on it, and I'll put sugar in that top box. I want to start feeding them right away. Of course, we've got pollen available. I've got some dry pollen straight across from this hive. Again, this is an experiment. I've never done this before, so we will see how it goes. My plan is to shake them out into that Staples copy paper box, and then transport it from that tree over and shake it out in this hive box. So that's what I'm going to try to do. I could put that hive box under them, but there's a pretty good drop. So I'll see. I might be able to actually put that hive box on this stand and put it right under them, and maybe even shake them straight into that hive box. So we're going to see what works. This is the swarm. The queen should be in the middle of that ball. They balled up to keep her warm. And now if I'm able to shake her into the hive, or actually find her, pick her up and put her in the hive, the rest of them should go to it. Okay, they're starting to fly around a little bit, not much. I'm going to try to set the hive body on that old, I think it's a TV stand, and see if I can just shake them straight into the hive body. Okay, I've put the hive body directly under them, and we're just going to see what happens. I don't have my camera stand today, so May not get good video. You may have to see before and after pictures. If this goes badly, you may see a beekeeper crying. If it goes well, I'll be pretty stoked, because this is one of the coolest things about beekeeping, and it's something I've never done before. That's be able to capture a swarm. Okay, we haven't found the queen yet. It's a decent chance she's still in this wad. So what I'm going to do is I'll have to turn the camera off. I'm going to need both hands. But I'll just basically try to gradually peel off that right there and scoop it down into the hive.
This is a really decent sized swarm. It leads me to believe it's not one of mine because they are so many. Typically, I think I read or heard somewhere 40 to 60% of the hive that leave. I don't know that I've got either one of my hives are big. Got most of them in the box.
Okay, I had to get some bees out of my bonnet. I think I still have one, but I'd rather deal with one than, I don't know how many were in there. 5 or 6, I guess, I don't know. There's at least 1 or 2 still in there. My hope is the queen is in this wad down in this corner. Trying to let them calm down a little bit before I do much looking. Okay, I've allowed them to sit for a while, and you can see they have basically cleared off this branch, which would not be the case if the queen was still up there. So the queen must be in the hive. So what I'm going to do is put the lid on, and then I'm going to move this hive over right between those two. Okay, I was able to get the lid on this box. There's still an entrance. You can see down in the right-hand corner. I'm using kind of an older lid because it is the only type of lid that fits that feeder box. I'll put some sugar, dry sugar for now, into that box because once I set them up, I want them to have some feed right away. Okay, I have no idea if what I just did was the proper way to do that, but they are in a box and I've put them where I would like them to make their home. Most all of the bees are in that box. There are not many left on my tree over there, maybe, I don't know, 20 or 30 bees. So we've gotten almost all of them in this box. We have nectar available. I'm about to put sugar in this top feeder and we will see how they do. Okay, I'm using dry sugar. The other two hive feeders I'm swapping over to sugar water, but this happened pretty quickly and I didn't have any sugar water ready. I want them to have food right away. So for the time being, I'm putting dry sugar in, and then at some point I will swap them over. I just want them to have food as soon as possible. Okay, the hive is set up. I will reset up my pollen feeder straight across from them, but they have sugar in their top feeder. They have frames. One of those frames is completely combed out, or I would say maybe 90% is a better way to put it, on one side and probably 30% on the other side. So the queen can literally start laying right away. So I will keep an eye on them and see how they do, but so far so good for my first swarm capture. Now there were bees on my other suit, so I just stacked it up on top of the hive and hopefully they will go to their queen. Another thing I will do is I left a 2-frame space in the middle of this hive so that the bees had this sense that there is room. I didn't want them to turn right around and swarm again. I will give them a couple of days. I'll try to catch a warm day this next week, and I'll go back in and replace the other 2 frames, slide the middle frames together, and then I will be able to kind of gauge how much coverage I have on the frames and begin to think about when I will need to add a second box.